What's going on, everybody? Welcome to RGF Media. Looking around the league right now, you're seeing all these different coaching changes, and it's actually really crazy. Or coaching situations. Got the news today that Mike Vrabel of the Tennessee Titans was fired from his position as head coach. The past couple days, I've also seen rumors that Mike Tomlin might be willing to leave the Pittsburgh Steelers after the playoffs. You have Jim Harbaugh, who just won the college football championship. There's rumors about him looking into coming back to NFL, maybe already having conversations with NFL teams. I actually saw something today that him and the Raiders have been talking pretty heavily, involving maybe him coming to join the organization. And if that's the case, I assume Antonio Pierce is out. So with all that said, it's, look, if I'm Woody Johnson, I know he already came out and said Saleh and his coaching staff isn't going anywhere. I made a couple of videos on that if you want to check those out. But, look, if I'm him, and this offseason you have Mike Tomlin, Mike Vrabel, and Jim Harbaugh out there as options for a head coach. I'm biting the bullet and I'm eating crow, and I'm going out there and I'm going to each one of those individuals and I'm saying, what's it going to take for you to come over to the New York Jets? Because look, I get it if there was, if there were really no other options besides some recycled head coaches or recycled coordinators, first-time coordinators looking to be a head coach. I get it. You kind of just want to stick with what you have and give them a year with Rodgers, see what that looks like. But look, if you have three coaches, all of which have a ton of respect around the league, have been called excellent coaches, very, very fair, but also hold players accountable and their coaching staff accountable, I think that's something you really have to look at in order to change the culture of this team. Because right now, this team, it doesn't have a culture besides a losing culture. There's, especially in the past 13 years, there's really no constant winning, no record of winning. Players get the big contracts and then just kind of take off, or players getting the big contracts and then just regress. Looks like they don't show up. And what, that all speaks to the culture of this team. And now you have players like Garrett Wilson. Earlier in the season, you had Alan Lazard, you have Breece Hall, all kind of coming out against this coaching staff. Most notably Garrett Wilson, like I said, who came out yesterday during the end of the season interviews, kind of saying, this has been the worst year of my life. These past 2 years with the Jets have been really rough. Never really been part of anything like this before. Standing on the sidelines. The offenses don't look difficult for the other team. Just staying on the sideline. It's not hard for them to score. It's not hard for them to move the ball. Meanwhile, it is on his team, and that goes into a lack of accountability on the head coach and the general manager not making necessary changes. That goes into lack of accountability and just lack of preparedness for the offensive coaching staff. Nate Hackett, Todd Downing, Keith Carter, just not being able to game plan around what they have, scheme around what they have. Meanwhile, every other team in the league seemingly is able to. And it just, excuse after excuse. The big one is, well, we had a million players playing on the offensive line this year. Aaron Rodgers went down. Things didn't go as planned. But again, that's where coaching comes into play. That's why I personally believe that the biggest issue with this team is management and coaching, and not so much the players. Because, again, you see other teams around the league being able to scheme around what they have, coach around what they have, and be successful. Tennessee Titans, Indianapolis Colts, Cleveland Browns. All these teams are able to become successful. The Pittsburgh Steelers with Mike Tomlin having some of the worst quarterback play in the league, one of the worst offenses in the league, firing Matt Canada, bringing in someone else to help. Even the even the Cincinnati Bengals, they were having a lot of issues, so they fired their offensive coordinator and let Joe Brady start calling the plays. I'm sorry, Buffalo, that happened. They let go of their offensive coordinator and started let Joe Brady call the plays. Next thing you know, their offense is back on top, and it just seems like, and us as fans see it all year, and we say it all year. Everything looks so difficult with this team. And it makes you wonder, what do these coaches do all week? What do they practice that once they get onto the field at game day, they just look lost, they look confused, they look like they just look slow. What do they practice all week? Meanwhile, every other team looks 100 times more prepared, 100 times faster than they look. And, like I said, now you're having players come out, and I think that really says more than anything, because the players are the ones who are obviously playing the game, but they're the ones being coached, they're the ones being taught what to do, and even they're saying I don't know what we're doing, pretty much. So, look, if I'm Woody Johnson, like I said, I'm going to each one of these coaches if they're available. Well, Mike Vrabel is available, but, if Mike Tomlin and Jim Harbaugh decide that they do want to kind of switch things up, go a different route, I would call them, and I would say, what would it take? What would it take for you to be here and really right our ship? Because that's what this team needs. I want to be optimistic about this team, but after 13 years and this team not giving us anything to be excited for besides new uniforms and Aaron Rodgers, things need to change. Things need to change fast, because it doesn't matter who you bring in, doesn't matter who you draft, doesn't matter who you trade for. If there's no one to coach up these players, if there's no one to set a standard for these players, if there's no one to lead these players, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good Aaron Rodgers is. He can't run the team, coach the team, set up practices, run the offense, run the defense, make sure the offensive line is doing what they're supposed to. He can't do that all. So, again, I really feel like the big issue with this team is coaching. And there's a possibility of 3 really, really strong candidates that are well respected, are known as very good coaches, and hold players and personnel accountable. And that's what this team needs. So, who knows? Hopefully, if this is the case, hopefully Woody Johnson does make those calls. I doubt it, but, one last thing, I kind of equate this to, every few years there's that NFL draft where it's, this is the best quarterback class that you're going to see in, 10, 15 years, or whatever the case may be. I equate it to that, because look, those drafts don't happen often, the same way this doesn't happen often, if this does come true, and there are 3 really top level candidates available. But, see what happens, take it by day. I'm going to try to come out with a video to be a little bit more optimistic. I know I've been down, but again, after 13 years of nothing, I need more than cliche eagle and crow quotes and fancy shirt slogans. So we'll see what happens. Until then, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.